Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? Well, that's the wrong screen. How are we all doing tonight? Let's fix that hair. Holy crap. Woo! What a week. And it is only Tuesday. I put in for some PTO today. I'm trying to take the 22nd off. We're going to have back-to-back 4-day weeks because I get glorious Juneteenth off. What a fantastic holiday that is, right? So, how y'all doing tonight? How's everyone doing? We've got Sarah in the chat and Marianne. How are y'all doing? I hope everyone survived not having some Welcome to the Rebellion this morning. That was sadder than I expected it to be because I needed some. In fact, let's see. Oh, what's up, Mash? How you doing? I do actually owe y'all something that I still have not done. So let's do it live. That was bright. Okay, first things first. Do this. Background removal. And then we're going to share download with a transparent background. Download. Now let's open YouTube. Okay. Now I don't think it's gonna populate on this stream, but who knows? I'm doing the thing that I should have been doing this whole time, or that I should have done a while back, and actually putting emojis in. Channel? Nope. Oh, I forgot how to do this, guys. Community? That's not right. Oh, I might have it. We've got 641 hours left before we get fully monetized. I've really got to ramp up this month because we're only going to start losing hours. Oh, damn. She's got 4 more hours to go, guys. Is it under memberships? It might be under memberships. Oh, there we go. Emoji. Name. All right, let's see if... Oh, image aspect ratio must be 1:1. I don't know what that means. Can I try a different image? Give me 1 second, guys. So I don't know if anyone remembers that Does anyone remember I hate to say it like this, the murder in Texas at the high school track meet? Okay. Austin Metcalf. No. Was that his name? Yeah, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. Anybody? Nobody remembers? All right, so this was the murder where this this kid Austin was at a track meet. You know, track meets have multiple schools that are at this place, and he yeah, here we go. Yep. And Austin Metcalf or Carmelo Anthony apparently was offended by something that um Austin said. And now, from what I remember, and someone please feel free to correct me, but from what I remember, there was never a claim of the N word. There was never a claim of any of this stuff. It was just he was rude and tried to like throw me out of the tent or something like that. And because Carmelo, they went to different high schools. Austin was there with his twin brother running for his school. Carmelo Anthony comes down and is trying to sit in their tent. And I remember from high school athletics, you stay your own tent. You don't really go hang out at other people's tents because you're there for your team. And he ends up just stabbing the guy with this knife. Now I don't remember if it was I don't remember what kind of knife. Let's see what Wikipedia says. The stabbing occurred in the Memorial High School tent in the David Kayakindle Stadium at approximately 10 a.m. on April 2nd, 2025. Yeah, this was my birthday. I forgot about that. What's up, Mayor? How you doing? The altercation started when the track and field championship event was delayed due to thunderstorms and heavy downpours. Hunter Metcalf, Austin's twin brother, told Anthony to move out of the Memorial team's tent. Austin then confronted Anthony. During the argument that ensued, Anthony allegedly said, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand in his backpack. Now that's Carmelo Anthony, the assailant. Metcalf then pushed Anthony on the bleachers they were on. In response, he allegedly said, "Punch me and see what happens," which Metcalf pushed him. In response, Anthony pulled out a black knife from the backpack and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest before running away. Another witness in the Frisco police arrest report stated Austin and Anthony went back and forth, and then Anthony stood up and pushed Anthony, and then Austin stood up and pushed Anthony to get him out of the tent. After being stabbed, Metcalf ran down the bleachers, grabbing his chest, and told those around him to get help. When police arrived, he was not conscious or breathing, and athletic trainers were performing chest compressions on him. Austin Metcalf was pronounced dead minutes after arriving in the hospital. So this is the thing that's so annoying about this is you're going to see people equate this with the stuff going on in not Maricopa, in Clarksville, in no Montgomery County, Tennessee, where the Chud the Builder case is going on, and both equating the punishment that punishment that Carmelo Anthony got from the court prior to the trial, and the punishment that Chad the Builder is getting, and with some sort of equate as if this plus this equals this. That's not the way our justice system works. First off, every case is taken differently. Okay. Also, different states. Texas is a very different state from Tennessee. Hang on, wait for it. Collin County and Denton County are very different states from Montgomery, or different counties from Montgomery County in Tennessee. So sitting here and comparing them, first off, it does nothing for anyone. All it does is allow people to scream about things on Twitter. It's really dumb. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort because it means nothing. There's one guy that was apparently showing proof that that judge had never given a bail like that before, or that this never happened like that. Yeah, that is closer. That sort of complaint and comparison is a lot more practical. But even then, it's kind of a lost cause to equate these two different. I mean, we've got murder charges here versus attempted murder. We've got a knife versus a gun. That's another thing. Like the weapon you use can absolutely. I wish Mark Reality was in here. I assume if it was our normal night, he would be in here. But things like that matter, and they should matter. The thing that I get really annoyed is when someone says that things like this should be basically an equation. A plus B equals C. Did you do it? Where's the evidence? What's the crime? Equals how much time, how much money, that kind of stuff. And that's just not the way it works. Partly because we're a human system. Okay, we're human. Why would this be simple? It shouldn't be simple. And it shouldn't be simple because it's a very dangerous thing you're doing. You're possibly depriving someone of life, liberty, and property in the pursuit of happiness and everything. And so to claim that sort of decision should be an easy decision to make, I think you've got idiots out there talking out of their ass. But let's go back to the incident in Texas. So Anthony quickly surrendered to the police, and according to the responding officer, said that he was protecting himself and was emotional and crying hysterically. The officer then communicated to others that he had Anthony in custody, to which he responded, "I'm not alleged, I did it," and he was being escorted to the police car. Anthony reportedly said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," while he was sitting in the back seat of the car. He asked if Metcalf is going to be okay and asked the officer if what he did could be considered self-defense. So again, you're going to have, and we're seeing it already on Twitter, and I've got some stuff we're going to talk about this on Twitter. But you've got people who are what I like to call Twitter lawyers, who spend all their time kind of sitting on Twitter saying, this is wrong, this is mean, why can't this happen? Who don't understand the law. And even when you get people who do understand the law, like, you get someone like me that went to law school, does it for a living, but I don't do criminal work. So your question should always be, well, how much time have you spent making sure that what you're saying is true? And if the answer is, oh, I Googled it, holy crap, that's a bad lawyer. I have something at work right now where I actually had to call one of our other attorneys and say, dude, I need you to deal with this because I don't know enough about it. and I don't have the time to do what needs to be done correctly. And he was very happy to do it. I'm very glad that I work at a firm where that everyone is willing to pitch in and help each other. But that kind of shit doesn't happen very often. So Metcalf is probably going to try to argue some form of self-defense. Okay, it just kind of makes sense. It's really the only thing that I can logically connect the story to. But now they've got different the prosecution, the defense attorney, they've got different facts than I do. I basically have the Wikipedia article. I've got the stories that were told after, but I don't have what is going to be testified to because I'm not part of the prosecution or the defense team. So if we look at the facts of this, if we look at what the reported altercation is, Hunter Metcalf, Austin's twin brother, told Anthony to move out from the Memorial team's tent. Get out of our tent. You're in the wrong tent. During the argument that ensued, Anthony allegedly said, and Anthony's the bad guy here. He's the defendant. Said, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand in his backpack. Metcalf then pushed Anthony on the bleachers they were on. In response, he allegedly said, "Punch me and see what happens," to which Metcalf pushed him. So in response, Anthony put a dagger or a knife in his heart. I talked about this in my Chet the Builder video. I talked about this on XCast that the next night. Extreme violence, like stabbing someone, like shooting someone, in my opinion, is not a reactionary level of violence compared to pushing. Now, in Chud's case, remember, part of the story is that he was hit from behind. That's different. There's some people that are going to say that Joshua Fox tried to start the fight because he apparently made a post on social media. Again, all of that, none of that matters. It's all in what is in Chud the Builder's head. Same here. Everything that matters is in what is in Austin or Carmelo Anthony's head. So how a reasonable person can think that is a level akin to stabbing in the chest, it's just not there, my guy. It's just not there. Now, there are already accusations that someone has been kicked out of the hearing already. So they started Wadir yesterday. Wadir is jury selection. Both attorneys get to ask questions. They get to try to determine what biases the proposed jurors have, all this kind of stuff. Okay. And during those questions, they've got a certain number of peremptory challenges where they can be like, look, I think this guy is biased towards my client, and you can kick him out. Now, the problem is, I say the problem, the thing is that logically, the prosecution probably doesn't want any black jurors. The defense probably wants a lot of black jurors because their thought is, and it's a reasonable argument, is that a white jury will probably convict, a black jury will probably find him innocent. Or if you have a couple of black jurors, maybe they hold out and we get a mistrial or something like that. And then hopefully the state says, you know what, it's not worth trying to retry it. Something like that. That kind of stuff happens all the time. So what I think we're going to end up seeing is, hang on. What I think we're going to end up seeing is some sort of like 9-3, where you end up with like a 3-person minority, 9 majority, and the defense is going to lay into racial injustice and all this stuff. It's just what they do. It's just what these defense things end up being about, which is bullshit, because the guy's skin should have no determination on whether or not he's guilty or innocent. One of the things where was this? Oh, has anyone been paying attention to this case? Because I'm trying to find someone on Twitter. Maybe I liked it. Because my bookmarks are still not working. Nope. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Let's see. Let's see if I find it here. Here we go. Sarah Fields. Sarah Fields is the Republican precinct chair in somewhere in Texas. I don't know where in Texas, but let's look at this. We're looking for what's up, Sean? How you doing? Here we go. So day one, each day, every single time I go live here, we're going to pull up Sarah Fields' Twitter account, and we're going to go through her log on where we are in this trial. So day one inside the Carmelo Anthony trial. I arrived at the Collin County Courthouse at approximately 6:30 a.m. for day one of the trial. The first thing that became apparent was security. Everyone entering the courthouse had to pass through screening. Cell phones and electronic devices were prohibited. The only thing I brought with me were a notepad, a pen, and my sunglasses. After passing through security, I made my way towards the courtroom area. The courthouse features a large wide hallway, yada, yada, yada. Just before reaching the jury assembly area, there's a left turn. Okay. So in the old courthouse, that's where the normies are going to be sitting. The judge is not going to allow the public to sit in the actual courtroom. Several reasons for that. Some are obvious to all of us, that they don't want people disrupting this trial. This is already going to be a heavy press event. There's already going to be a whole lot of people watching this trial. They do not need crazy people jumping up. This does not need to be another Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Okay. And what's going to be really interesting is just how good the prosecution team is. Because we remember during that Rittenhouse trial, they were terrible. That prosecutor honestly should have been disbarred for how dumb he was. We were among the first to arrive, but the doors were locked. Several members of the sheriff's department were stationed outside. Okay. Again, Sarah Fields is not an idiot. She's the chair of the Republican precinct of, I think, Collin County. But what I've never seen is a suppressed AR rifle chambered in 9mm. Do they make those? Oh shit, they do make them. Why would the sheriff's department be using a 9mm rifle? Maybe they have concerns about some CQB shit. I thought this was pretty funny. While we waited, a heavy-set man wearing a Hawaiian shirt repeatedly stared in our direction. At one point, he sat very close to us. As he walked past me, he quietly said the word demon. Interesting. As more people arrived, the crowd continued to grow. Yada yada yada. Whole bunch of Cali people. So if you see photographs of people at the courthouse, if you see photographs of the trial and all that, anyone wearing purple, they are Carmelo Anthony supporters. Now, here's the thing that really bugs me about this shit. First off, from California, this kid lived in Texas. This kid was a resident of Texas. Why are Californians driving or flying in to support a kid who's on trial for murder? I don't really give a shit if you take the picture we've been painted of Carmelo Anthony as gospel. Okay. The guy still killed another human being. Why are we there like, yay, this kid, yay? At approximately 8:52 a.m., I approached one of the and so she set up the whole line so that people could get in line. This whole thing goes on to say that nothing happened. They weren't able to watch anything because voir dire was going on, and the sheriff's department basically told them, "Hey, we're not going to do anything. You're not going to watch voir dire. So if you want to leave, you can leave." And that's what they did. Now, she did show a picture of this. This is something that is being distributed over there. Let's see. Where is this? As she exited the courtroom, she encountered Carmelo Anthony's supporter and TikTok creator John Effect. He recognized me immediately. We spoke briefly and shook hands. He was professionally dressed and respectful during our interaction. What was the name? John Effect. I've never seen this guy before. That's the other Carmelo Anthony. I do kind of feel bad for Carmelo Anthony with a C, because anytime like someone Googles him, he's going to be dealt with this shit for quite a while. I don't see anything. I don't see anything on Twitter. I mean, on Google about this guy. Let's go to Twitter. Remember, Twitter is the #1 news source in America and several countries. Sean Effect. I mean, I'm not getting anything. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find this guy. But this flyer is being handed out by it was in here somewhere. In addition, a group calling itself the National Organization for Victim Advocacy was distributing flyers featuring Austin Metcalf's photograph. The flyer stated that the organization stood in solidarity with all victims of anti-white violence. So this is what it says. On April 2nd, 2025, Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old student at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas, was fatally stabbed in a savage attack during a high school track meet. Austin's murderer has subsequently been released from jail just hours after a judge reduced his bond from $1 million to $250,000. Okay, I want to address this, okay, because we're seeing the same thing happen in the Chud the Builder trial, and people who don't know anything are just screaming into the void about this stuff, and people are listening to them. So the process is, you get arrested. Within 48 hours, sometimes it's a little bit longer, but within 48 hours, you get arraigned, which means you go before a judge, usually a magistrate, and that judge says, I find probable cause. We're going to hold you over until X amount of time. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's two. Until so time as an actual bond hearing is done. Now, the bond hearing is where the actual bond is set. That's what Chud was having. Okay. When his $1 million, $1.2 million bond was set, he still had like another week and a half before his bond hearing. This was just the judge saying $1.5 million. That shit happens all the time. All the time. Had happened here. $1 million bond, and it was lowered after the fact at the bond hearing. Now, should it have been lowered? I don't know. I don't think so, or at least not as much as it had been lowered. Now, another thing, and this is the thing that kind of bugs me about like Gifts and Go and what's the other one? Damn. What's that other website where you can give people money? GoFundMe. So my issue with those two things are, part of the reason we have bond is to make you show back up. If I get arrested, I go to jail, I go to my arraignment, and my judge tells me that, hey, you can go free. You can go ROR, release on your own recognizance, but you have to give the state $20,000. Now, if I make all my court hearings and I am found innocent, that money comes back to me. You damn well bet I'm showing up. But if someone just gives the money, I have no reason to show up other than the gratitude I might have towards the person or persons that fund my release. So when a judge requests a hearing on whether or not they will accept money, like the money that Carmelo Anthony was donated to him, like the money that Chud the Builder had donated to him, that makes perfect sense to me, because the purpose of bond is to make sure that you have a reason other than, because look, if you've committed a crime, especially if it's like murder, violent crime, 6th, 7th, 8th time, how do I know you're going to show up? Well, if you have to forfeit 20 grand, 100 grand, $200,000 in order to be released, you have a financial incentive to show up to court. So I got no problem with the judge having a bail hearing to decide whether or not to accept funds for Chud the Builder. I got no problem if it happened here. I don't know if it happened here. I do know bail was reduced. does not surprise me that bail was reduced. Okay. Because again, the purpose of bail is to make sure there's a reason for you to return, and for it to be somewhat difficult for you to get out of jail. Now we can have a theoretical discussion over white people versus black people and the amount of bail versus cashless bail and all that shit. We absolutely can. If you ever want to have it, we'll have it. But comparing the two is a stupid thing to do, and acting like asking the question is dumb or racist is also a stupid thing to do. So this is what the thing continues to say. In the days following the incident, Austin's family has faced harassment and received swatting calls with SWAT teams responding to their home. Republican blah 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 blah. Republican Governor Greg Abbott has yet to make a statement about the case. Okay, why should he make a statement? Why should the governor make a statement about the case? Nothing's happened in the case so far. That's dumb. All they're trying to do is inflame people against Governor Abbott. White children are victimized daily, and America's anti-white system denies us the right to collectively demand justice. Nova stands in solidarity with all victims of anti-white violence, and we demand justice for Austin. This is another thing that's bullshit. This is a lie. Okay, are there white people that are victimized daily? Yeah, we see videos all the time of kids in school who are bullied because they're white. We see victims. We see stories all the time of kids and families in cities that have to deal with rising crime and violence from black people, all that stuff. Now, it is not because. Hey, let me think how I'm going to say this. It is not because they are so. Let me just scratch that. That's not gonna. That thought process isn't going to go anywhere any good. To act like we have any proof that Carmelo Anthony stabbed this guy because he was white is ridiculous. We do not. Now, could there be people out there that would? Sure. We know it happens. But there is zero proof that that happened here. So all Nova is sitting here doing is fanning the flames. And after we already have these reports that the Southern Poverty Law Center has spent millions of dollars giving hate groups money to fan the flames so that they're seen as important. I mean, I question this. As a nonprofit organization built from a national network of volunteer communities and associated projects, Nova seeks to build a nation within a nation in order to provide community security, opportunity, and advocacy to those who recognize the absence of these nation-defining features in the current status quo. I don't know if I like that phrasing. A nation within a nation. No, you cannot have a group of people separated from the nation. You are either one country or you're nothing. I think that's a bad idea. And you know what? 501c searches. Nova. Oh no, this has to have. Clyde, what's up, man? How you doing? Does this tell me? I'm going to end up on a list. Nova now. Ha! First off, Clyde comes in and drops 5 gifted memberships. If you just got one, let's see. We have one emoji right now, and it is the logo. We're going to have more. I'm going to actually do what I told everyone I would do 5 weeks ago and actually make emojis. So if you have any of those, let's see them in the chat. Yeah, this Nova thing seems sketchy to me. But there's nothing on their website about 501c or anything about that. Okay. What's huh? Are you saying a slur? Oh, hang on. Now she was back today. So one thing she reported yesterday was that someone had been kicked out. Let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. A short time later, I witnessed sheriff deputies escorting an African-American woman out of the courthouse hallway. She was wearing a pink shirt with lace sleeves. Deputies were accusing her of jury tampering. I later learned she was allegedly connected to the Anthony family and had reportedly been caught recording members of the jury pool. That's a big no-no. So one thing that people don't understand, and it kind of blows my mind, and if this judge was in, if this is true, and if this judge was in on it, Carmelo Anthony's fucked. Like there's no getting that judge back on your side. Okay. You need a judge because think about this, okay? This judge is going to decide whether or not they can argue self-defense. Do you want to piss off the judge that's going to make that decision? Of course not. Now, someone does accuse her of lying about this. Dennis Byron, who I don't know what this is, the Hip Hop Inquirer, contributing news producer for many platforms, 33 years photography, outstanding award in media, author behind the lens. So she said, hang on, who's the lady we were talking about? Sarah Fields. Update. I don't know who this Sarah J. Fields is, but according to her Facebook post, she is reporting that Carmelo Anthony's supporter was removed from the courthouse for allegedly recording potential jurors The problem with this reporting is the fact that official courthouse personnel have no knowledge of this ever happening. In addition, no legacy media has reported this, nor any other courthouse observer. I've also placed a call out to the Collin County Sheriff's Office for confirmation. So this is the thing that is really annoying, especially today, is to sit here and think that legacy media is going to do anything that they should do is ridiculous. Legacy media is trash. They don't give a shit about this story until or if the outcome ends up being a not guilty or a guilty and the death sentence. They don't care at all about what's going on in Collin County. But it does apparently say now. I mean, this is. I mean, how do I know that claims that this is the court official saying that there was no jury tampering, but I got no phone number here. I don't know what text message this is. Like, I kind of understand wanting to hide sources and allow people to be confidential and stuff. But if you're going to hope that we assume you're being honest about this stuff and you give us nothing to be able to fact check you and you just want us to take your word for it, well, that ain't going to happen at all. Update statement from the courthouse official. 3 people were escorted out of the courthouse by law enforcement Monday for attempting to take photos or video. Photography is prohibited as per a standing courthouse decorum policies order, not just for this trial, but always. That order was signed by all 23 judges in June of 2025. Yeah. But that does not discredit what Sarah Fields said. Oh. They will not do any other business in this courthouse until this trial is over. That's wild. Even in what do you call it? Even in Kyle Rittenhouse's case, they did other stuff in that courthouse. Hang on a second, guys. So how what do y'all think? Any thoughts about this trial and where we're at with it? Sean thinks it's going to be a shit show no matter what. My God. So y'all saw, I'm sure everyone has kind of talked to ad nauseum about this, but y'all saw that Tulsi Gabbard has resigned as the director of national intelligence, and today Trump announced his replacement. He announced that Bill Pulte, who's currently leading the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHA, would be replacing Tulsi Gabbard as chief spy master. That's an interesting selection. Now, Pulte has been one of the top guys on Trump's team. He has been like, I won't say yes man, because I don't really think any of them are really yes men. I think you've got people, you've got all these people on a variety of wavelengths of just how in on the goals of the administration they are. So you've got some that are a lot more in on it, like Stephen Miller, but that doesn't make Stephen Miller a yes man. Yeah, so he's the grandson of the guy that founded the Pulte Group. And the thing that I'm upset about this is Pulte was working to bring forth the VantageScore 4.0 system. And that would have been really good because VantageScore 4.0 allows you to use your rent history to kind of prove of concept that you can pay for a mortgage. Sean, I don't know. This is the most interesting decision I've seen in a very long time. I am curious. Well, you know what? Let's see if there is any. Maybe he served or something like that. Let's see what. Graduated from Northwestern. No, I mean, no, he's been in private equity. Member of the board at Pulte. I mean, there's nothing to suggest, though. I mean, I'll say, guys, there's nothing to suggest that Trump would be good, would be able to play the role of president. There's nothing to suggest that I mean, there wasn't really anything to suggest that Scott Bessent would be a great, as good as a Secretary of Treasury as he's been. I don't know. This is interesting to me. Maybe Trump is hoping to get a guy in that position that is 100% loyal to him. Pulte has shown to be a pretty loyal guy. I'm more annoyed about the fact that he's no longer going to be an FHA. Or is he doing both? It is also only acting. So who knows? Maybe once what you got? Once once the election and everything is over, maybe they find a actual DNI. But this is interesting. I wonder what the article says. I bet you I can't read the article. So apparently the Truth Social post, Trump says that Pulte's got experience handling the secret matters revolving around FHA, which there are some FHA is a very, I don't know if I'd say top secret, but it's a very sensitive organization. We're talking trillions of dollars that flow through FHA. So Maybe, but I mean, it's going to be interesting. What's up, Hokies? How you doing? The True Social Post said, I'm appointing the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, William J. Pulte, to serve as acting director of national intelligence. William has deep experience managing the most sensitive matters in America, the safety and soundness of the markets, and over $10 trillion at Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, a substantial increase from where we were just 12 months ago, which is true. During this period, he will remain director. Okay, yay. He will remain director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Congratulations, Director Pulte. It's going to be interesting. That's a serious job. Yeah, he's the grandson of William Pulte that started the Pulte Group. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be a disaster. There's too many hands in the pot for it to be a disaster. But we'll find out. I mean, you can be damn sure we'll find out. Saber. I saw that. Let's see. I'm kind of looking through here real quick to see if. There was something about South Carolina. What the fuck? Gross. Only if it doesn't work. We'll see if it works. Okay, wasn't that? Oh, who wants to scream? New York Democrats just advanced Democratic State Senator Luis R. Sepulveda's bill, which will replace the words mother and father with terms like gestating parent and non-gestating parent. Welcome to day 2 of Who Gives a Fuck Month. This blows my mind. The people of the state of New York, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows. Let's see. Proceeding to determine paternity, parentage, and for the support of children born out of wedlock. So you're crossing out wedlock to put out of wedlock? As set forth in Articles 5 and 5C of this Act, changing paternity to parentage. Okay, the first page doesn't really tell us anything. Oh, here we go. Oh, this an act to amend the Family Court Act, the Civil Practice Law, and rules the domestic relations law, the executive yada. In relationship between parentage for paternity and filiation, and to repeal certain provisions of the Family Court relating thereto. Hang on a second. Am I being lied to here? This is Senate Bill 9316. NI Senate Bill 9316. Okay, paternity, parentage, mother, parties, and the child. So shall order the mother, change that to shall order the parties and the child to submit to one or more um okay, yeah, so we do have some of it right here. Okay. So I'll be honest, from what I'm looking at, most of this is innocuous at best. It's retarded as hell to change paternity to parentage. If I'm looking at this just as a like legal perspective and not as a like what is that trying to do and all that kind of stuff, I get it. I understand why you would. It does make laws like this a little bit easier to follow, a little bit easier to quote unquote police and enact when you have um neutral language like that. But as Hokies just said, it is a incredible waste of time. And all it is another example of someone like Luis R. Spolvoda, however you say his name, um, trying to make his name big in the Democratic Party so that he can run for a national seat. That's all it is. It's all any of these things are. So every now and then you get a case where there is someone that has like a legitimate thing that they're fighting for or a legitimate idea that they kind of want to push through. And it's you get a little bit of a okay, well, this, let's do this. Fuck, Florida did one today. Y'all see what happened in Florida? Let's pull this up. Pull this up, Jamie. Both houses today abolished property tax in the state of Florida. Now it still has to go to the people. The people still have to vote on it. I mean, it'd be hard to find a reason why someone would not vote to get rid of, $3,000 a year. I mean, if I could say, yeah, I don't want to pay another $3,000 for my house. Yeah, hells yeah, I would. Now, the thing that I'm, let's say, hesitant on is I don't know which uh, account posted this, but there's someone talking about the same thing that said that DeSantis claims that Florida basically has so much money that they can give a like a yearly dividend to everybody. Now, what Florida needs to be careful about, because this is one of the things that made Florida very good. Florida needs to not decide, and you see this. So this happened in the 90s with a lot of Republicans. A lot of Republicans ran in the 90s on this idea of lowering our day-to-day taxes. Okay, very good idea. Sounds great. Okay, but it ended up making a lot of counties and a lot of states not necessarily destitute, but it broke a lot of states. A lot of the South is still dealing with this. Okay, we've got 5 or 6 counties here in South Carolina that are very broke because the people that came to power in the 90s said, "Hey, we're going to get rid of all your taxes," and no one sat there and said, "Oh, that's really awesome." Hey, how are we going to pay for shit? They just assumed the state would bail them out or that the federal government would bail them out, which is not good. There are things that have to be paid for. Taxes will always need to exist. The question is, what taxes? Okay. Should we get rid of property tax and income tax and have a basic sales tax? That's probably what we should do. That's what Florida does. It works pretty well. Now, Florida also has a buttload of tourism. So should states that also have that excess tourism, like South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, New York, Pennsylvania. Should those states try to do that? Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to give up my income tax for the state of South Carolina. It's not a lot, but I'd still love to do it. I'd love to have that money back. Yeah. So what DeSantis was claiming, at least what I saw in the 5 seconds that I got to read the tweet before I had to get back to work, is that there's so much free money in Florida that they basically can just do a dividend every year. Now, South Carolina does that every now and then. We get a surplus, and the state will send me, $80 or shit like that. That's always nice. It's always, kind of nice. But what Florida needs to be careful is that they don't drain the kitty too quickly. Because what you don't want to end up being is a blue, destitute wasteland like Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania's got a little bit better. New York, California, all that shit. So there's just my 2 cents. That's my tax on what Florida's doing. But I mean, this is the huge deal. Honestly, someone was going to have to do this eventually. There's been a big push to either eliminate or extremely lower property tax around the country. Okay. This is going to be a referendum on whether or not that works. I expect, should this work, and my guess would be, you have to wait 2 or 3 years, but should it work, you'll see a whole lot of other states do something like this. What I expect a lot of states will do is they will adopt Florida's homestead exemption thing, which here in South Carolina, homestead just means you're 65 years or older. Okay. Florida's is you get a nice discount on property tax after you live there for a year. So we have a similar thing in South Carolina where we have 4% primary residence, which if the home you're living in is your primary residence, then you get a 4% tax instead of a 6% tax on investment properties or out-of-state residents. I like it because it keeps a lot of Yankees out of South Carolina. A lot of people moving here or buying their second beach house or shit like that are not happy. And there's a lot of realtors that don't like it because they don't like losing their commissions after they explain to these people what 6% does. Hopefully, maybe, but it also allows a lot more people to buy up those homes that you're supposed to be buying. I mean, I could talk ad nauseum about all this shit. This is what I do day to day. So I'm more excited to see how Trump's ban on investors is going to work. It's a solid ban because there's some people arguing that it doesn't actually do what it says it's going to do, but they misunderstand. They don't read it right.
I need to get my strawberries. Why are you shouting for? I can hear it from the other burger truck. Because I need to get my stuff. Are they causing trouble? Not yet. So yeah, girls, behave.
Well, guys, I think that's going to be it. Of course they are. I hope everyone's had a good Tuesday. We're 2 days through. We're going to be live playing video games tomorrow night. We're going to keep going with World War Z. Thursday, of course, we'll be live over here on the King's Court, talking more about what's been going on. We'll hit into some of these Supreme Court decisions that I mentioned in the title. And yeah, no, Lily, there'll be more stuff. Pop over to King's Advisors tomorrow night, and we'll be playing some shit. Yeah. I hope everyone has a great night. Let's see who we raiding. And when we all get back, there will be more emojis. This was number 49, right? Yeah. So Thursday night will be number 50. Okay. Well, I don't really think I need to raid Geeks and Gamers. So y'all have a great night, and I'll see everyone later.